Hey y'all. Well, today I'm a bit perplexed, more so that there are so many people surprised by the actions that the Trump administration and his flunkies are taking. I myself am not surprised at all by everything that's happening. I'm kind of shocked and impressed, I should say, by how quickly everything is really just rolling out nonstop, and it's being fervently embraced by the American people. And that's a little discouraging, but that's the topic for another day. But he told us what he was going to do, and he has been doing it, right? Nonstop. And it somewhat feels like a coup d'etat, somewhat of a hostile takeover, with the main purpose to quickly destabilize all the people and the economy and everything that holds us together as a people, right? The society that we know. So for anyone, that really wants to act like this is not based on blatant racial dissension is obscene. Take a look at this video, which really perfectly highlights the rationale that is supporting everything.
Very well. How are you?
Nice to meet you. Thank you for meeting us, Mr. Taylor.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Europeans have probably, on a per capita basis, killed more than anybody else, but because they were technologically more advanced.
Where does gunpowder come from? It comes from China. It's just that Western civilization took things from people. And I think when you get to older civilizations, they become more benevolent. They don't hang on to things like genetics as much. They understand how experience changes you.
Base them on facts instead. That's essential.
But what I find interesting is you're so into facts and you're so into science, but then you supported Donald Trump, right?
Well, that's a whole different question. That's a whole different subject. Let's get back to...
But I want to know how it is you voted for Donald Trump when you're so into facts, because his entire campaign is not based in facts. It was all based in propaganda and emotion.
I voted for Donald Trump for one reason only. His policies, if implemented, would slow the dispossession of whites in the United States. If he were to deport all illegal immigrants, if he were to think very hard about letting in any Muslims, all of this would slow the rate at which whites are becoming a minority.
Why are you so worried about the white dispossession of America?
Because I want my people to survive. Is that so strange? We don't control China. We don't control any place where whites are not a majority. And if we become a minority, we will not control our own destiny anymore.
I grew up in this country as a minority, as the children of immigrants. I was their first child born in America. And while I didn't have much possession or didn't much control, I really enjoyed myself. And I think that if you ask a lot of Americans, they would say that I had a lot to offer this country. You know, according to you, I guess I would be perpetuating the dispossession of white America.
That is true. That is true.
Would you say that you wouldn't want me in this country?
At some point, when my ancestors built this nation, they did not build it with the intention of giving it away to Mexicans or Chinese or Haitians or to anyone else.
Do you consider, you keep saying your ancestors built this country, you consider that a fact?
Who else built it?
Black people, Native Americans, Chinese people who came and built the railroads.
Do you think none of that could have been
Italian people.
But they're Europeans, aren't they?
But you believe in evolution, right?
Evolution, I think, explains a great deal.
So, according to evolutionary theory, we're all out of Africa. So, at some point, your ancestors were sub-Saharan Africans.
So what? At some point, our ancestors were unicellular animals.
So I'm saying at any point in time, we could say you were an African. So you're choosing to pick this point in time and say you're a descendant of white Europeans.
Why do you think I'm choosing this point of time?
Because it's in favor of your politics at this point.
It's because I'm alive now.
Come on. My issue with you is that I don't think you have enough compassion and vision, not because I don't like what things are now. It's that I have hope and belief in what they could be.
Look.
So this interview perfectly sums up the underlying motivations and beliefs driving these actions. Jared Taylor is a prominent white nationalist, and he openly discusses his views on racial superiority and the need to preserve this white America. This ideology is not just fringe thinking. It's been found, throughout time, and it's even made its way, obviously, into mainstream politics and policy making, as we're seeing. For instance, the Trump administration's policies on immigration, dismantling DEI initiatives, and selective support for scientific research are clear examples of this agenda in action. These policies are designed to maintain the dominance of the white population by creating barriers for marginalized communities and undermining efforts to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so here's a little bit of the background behind how this works. Immigration policies that target specific groups, such as the increased deportations and restrictions on asylum seekers, these create a climate of fear and division. And efforts to eliminate these diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, and again, stand on using the full language. Don't try to chunk it into a DEI catch-all. You're going to tell me that you don't want my diversity, or you like my diversity, and you don't want us to feel that we should have equity or feel included. So stand on that. But any sort of effort to eliminate any programs associated with that in federal and state organizations, all of that undermine progress toward addressing systemic inequalities and promoting equal opportunities for all. And of course, the executive order promoting the study of IVF. Okay, yes, just think on that, right? An executive order to study IVF treatments. Now, this really raises questions, right? Or at least it should, about why an executive order is needed to study something already pretty well researched. Unless, and just a little secret, this move, it could be seen as a precursor to further attacks on scientific research that doesn't specifically align with certain ideological beliefs. Moreover, and we're not going to act like this doesn't happen, it hasn't happened historically, there is concern that this policy could be used to promote population growth among white Americans, thus echoing the country's history of forced sterilization on minority groups. And who would be surprised? Not me. So these actions collectively aim to destabilize and confuse the public, fostering an environment where racial biases can thrive. And we're seeing it. It's essential to recognize these tactics for what they are. These are deliberate efforts to sow discord and maintain a status quo that benefits a select few at the expense of many. So here we are again. Stand against these divisive policies. Speak your truth. Stand on your business. Reject, resist, defend. We the people.